How are you? And welcome back to another episode of No Huddle Necessary. I am your host, Jeff Barnes, bringing you the arguments of our nuts and bolts sports writers as they debate topics and one special guest. So, with that being said, we've had another week of NFL football, another week of college football. Though we won't be talking college on this episode tonight. It's all about the NFL tonight. Exciting action that finally ended on Tuesday night with a thud. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, if you're a Dallas Cowboy hater, you're loving every minute of it. So, with that being said, we're going to start bringing in some of our guests, of course. You know, when you talk about nuts and bolts sports, you got to talk about one of the prominent faces that you always see. And we're talking about Ashmir Prasad. I call her the queen of nuts and bolts sports. Of course, all hail the queen. Ashmir, welcome to the show.
Wow, I feel so special. That was cool.
Yeah. Listen,
I've been on in a while, so I thought I'd come back.
Every once in a while we could come up with some upgrades. You got to pull a little upgrade here and there. Get a few gifts. Well, this one is not exactly an upgrade because if you've seen it, you know exactly who we're bringing on. That's right. We're talking about the most famous name on Nuts and Bolts Sports. We're talking about Mr. Keith Richards. Keith, welcome to the show.
You were talking about me at first, and then talking about Ashmir.
No, your gift is already set, my man. That's never leaving you. That's never leaving you. Even when he is pushing up daisies, you will still be using that gift.
Unfortunately,
okay, all right.
700 years before I was.
So we've got our writers in. We're going to bring in our special guests. We're turning to the show. We're talking about from sunny Las Vegas, Joe Quiroga. Joe, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks everybody. How's it going, everybody?
Good. Glad to have you back. Everybody enjoyed this week of football. I know you, if you're Raiders faithful, you're really loving it, the way that game ended for you.
Absolutely, that was incredible, and I was actually watching it on my phone, and I thought it was the ESPN app actually said it was over. So we were like, oh, everybody was like, oh man, the Jets did it, and then it updated or something, man, and then 46-yard bomb to win it. We couldn't believe it.
Well, it's funny that I guess they pulled the Heidi Bowl version too, where they cut away from the game thinking it was over, and lo and behold, it wasn't. Fitting it would be the Jets and the Raiders that would happen with.
Yeah, seriously.
Nevertheless, listen, thank Greg Williams and the Jets for being the Jets. But speaking of Greg Williams, we're going to talk about him in a minute as we talk about our first quarter. Let's hop right into our first quarter. Yes, we're talking about the aforementioned Greg Williams and the New York Jets. They come back and look like they're going to have that improbable win over the Raiders. History repeating itself. The Raiders are going to fall apart against the Jets and lose their season for the second year in a row. And lo and behold, leave it to Greg Williams, of all people, to say, I think I'm so smart, I'm going to go all out blitz and expose my secondary to these receivers that almost burned them the play before with Nelson Aguilar. Lo and behold, they get burnt by Henry Ruggs. Game over. The Jets lose again. And the next day, Greg Williams was shown the door. They said, you're out of here, buddy. You're done. It's funny. They're a winless team. Greg Williams blows the call at the end of the game, gets fired. But they're winless. They show no signs of life until this weekend. And the head coach is still there. But nevertheless, you guys tell me, is Greg Williams the scapegoat of the situation? Or did he really just deserve to get fired? So we're going to start this off with our guests. Joe, why don't you start us off?
Oh, man, what are we even talking about? So the writing was on the wall with these guys and these coaches. Greg Williams, he's got that personality. He's got that aggressive personality. So he could have at least, sent just the back. He could have kept some safeties back. He could have sent the backers on the blitz. That play wasn't even close. Ruggs went right by the corner. But when you're just talking about this team right now and these coaches and Adam Gase and Greg Williams, to be honest, I don't know if Greg Williams recovers from this. I mean, to be fired right on the spot, I'd love to be inside his head, be inside his mind, and know what was going on. Like, maybe did he collaborate with another coach? Who else is involved in that, or did he go rogue? Like, I want to know. I want to know what's going on. But that was gutsy. It was insane, and everybody blew it up on Twitter for sure. But I think, like I said, the writing's on the wall with these coaches. I don't know how Gase still has a job. But the good news about all of this is that this is a great audition for the rest of the players for next year, to build on next year. It's a great opportunity for a secondary coach, linebackers coach, defensive line coach to come in, be a defensive coach, defensive coordinator for the last few games of the year, and just get like a real quick audition and just try to turn this huge monster negative into a positive and see what they can next year, because that division keeps getting better and better. So they're going to have to keep up, or they're going to be in the same position they are right now next year.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, what can I say? I was baffled when I saw that play happen. I said, how do you blitz in that situation? Everybody knows what you do. And we talk about prevent all day, but that is the ideal situation for a prevent defense. All right. So, Ashmere, come on in. It's your turn. Tell us how you feel about Greg.
Okay, it's funny that Joe and I are both Raider fans talking about this first off, because, it was a very scary game, to say the least. I felt like the Raiders should have had that in the bag, and for them to go down to the last 15 seconds was just unbelievable. But I believe the entire Jets coaching staff is going to be fired at the end of the year. So I think firing him early was just like a little precautionary thing. Just like, yo, what's up? You guys are literally walking on the thinnest ice possible. You had 8 players rush Derek Carr for a blitz act. Why? Why did that happen? I'm not quite sure. After he had just proved that he's going deep, he threw the ball to Nelson Aguilar. Like, it wasn't changing. Nothing was going to change. Probably the person he was throwing to, which ended up being Ruggs, the fastest receiver right now, one of the fastest in the league. And so it was just not a good play call on his end. And at the end of the day, the Jets players, they're not here to lose. You think they woke up every day and said, yo, we want to be 0-11 and get a new, quarterback for next year. We're trying to tank. Even if this is my day-to-day, life, this is my job. I'm literally giving my body to this industry, to this franchise, to my job. No, they did not. So I think it was unfair to the players to do that to them, to call a zero coverage play. It just wasn't fair. And at the end of the day, I heard this on another podcast today. I don't know if I was a defender, if I would have done it. I would have been like, wait, am I hearing something? Something's wrong. Why are we doing a zero coverage 8-man blitz on this deep pass right now? So at the end of the day, Williams needed to be fired just to give the defense some backbone, to show that we stand with you. We didn't agree with that. It wasn't cool. And like Joe mentioned, the Jets need to keep up for the upcoming seasons. Their whole division is changing. And in order to do that, they got to fire people that make really bad mistakes. And Williams had done so. So, yeah, it was time to go.
And they agreed with you. They really did. I mean, I don't disagree with him. I'll be honest with you. I'd have fired him too. I'd have fired him by the time he got to the locker room. I will FedEx your stuff to you.
Sure.
I do not want to see you. I do not want to see you. Keith, I know you're a Broncos fan and you were rooting for the Jets. So tell us how you feel about that.
First of all, I'll never root for the Jets in my life. I don't care if there's $1 million on the line. I'll just go broke. But what a mess the Jets are. So does Greg Williams deserve to be fired? Is he the scapegoat in New York? Yes to both. Let's start with the first. For Rex Ryan to call the play the dumbest play ever, the play has to be dumb, because Rex Ryan has called some pretty stupid plays in his time as a coach. But then I started to wonder, what has Greg Williams done to justify him being a defensive coordinator in the league since Bountygate? Because I was genuinely curious. I'm like, well, he has to have a job for some reason. So I went back and looked at the defenses that he's coached since Bountygate. 2012 Rams were 14 in defense, total defense, 14 in points allowed. 2013 Titans, 14th in total defense, 16th in points allowed. Back to the Rams for 3 seasons, they only ever became a top 10 defense once in point or total yards, and that was in his last season. The point being that ever since Bountygate, he's been a mediocre coach at best. So how he got a job after Bountygate and how he continues to get a job being not that great of a coach is beyond me. I don't think he should be teaching or coaching any level of football whatsoever. But as far as him being a scapegoat, absolutely he's a scapegoat. Adam Gase is like Neo from the Matrix. He is just dodging everything coming at him, and somehow he wakes up every morning as a head coach of the New York Jets. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know if he has some dossier on the owners of the team, but how he has a job and everyone else is getting fired is beyond me. Everyone else deserves to be fired, but he should have been the one that was fired first probably 2 years ago. So I don't understand what's going on there. But Adam Gase, once again, walks away scot-free.
Yeah, he is Mr. Untouchable for some reason when it comes to the Jets. I don't get it. But like I said, yeah, in that situation, you play coverage. I mean, you had one play, right? Get him off the field, game over. Let's go and have a beer and enjoy our first win of the season. No, you want to go all out, and then to make matters worse, they don't get there. So he didn't even get touched. You sent 8 guys, and the quarterback still didn't get touched. Yeah, I know. He's not even making it to the locker room before he got fired. If I'm the owner, I would have met him on the sideline. Dude, don't even go near us. Go that way. Go that way. I will send you home in an Uber, and I will tow your car to your home. I never want to see you again. Okay? There was no reason for that. And like I said, reason why they haven't fired Adam Gase, I don't know. Yeah, he's got something on him pretty strong.
No, his time is coming.
Yeah, that's bad. It's just straight bad. I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, it's that's pretty bad. That was one of the craziest situations. But it's not uncommon because if you remember, in the 90s when the Oilers blew the lead in the playoffs versus the Buffalo Bills, remember they were up 38-3 in the playoffs, and they came back and lost. They gave that lead up. Jim Edey got fired after that season for that game. It ended up actually becoming a defensive coordinator again, and believe it or not, with the Dallas Cowboys. Right, so
well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, they were actually pretty good when he had him as a defense, so he didn't have to do much. He had Deion Sanders, so there was that pretty much saved his bacon. But enough ragging on the Jets. Although we could do that forever.
Forever.
Let's move on to the second quarter. Last week, one of the questions was, can we have both a winless and undefeated team in the same season? And we almost didn't have either one, as we talked about with the aforementioned New York Jets. But the Pittsburgh Steelers went out there, had a commanding lead going into the half, and then proceeded to blow said lead in the second half to the Washington football team, thus ending their undefeated season. So, for you guys to tell me, with the Steelers, can they recover from this, or is that cloak of invincibility gone? All right, so this time, we're going to let the Queen start us out.
Okay, so I think the Steelers are a little one-dimensional right now, and that is simply because they depend too much on the passing game and not enough on the running game. And I know James O'Connor right now has got COVID, or he's on the COVID watch. So that takes away that. Benny Snell had like 5 yards or something along those lines. So, you know, I get it. Ben is good at throwing the ball. He's known for it. But that Washington defense was putting a ton of pressure on him. He had, 53 dropbacks. Sorry about that. And so I just think for Ben and for the team, they're going to bounce back, right? They're going to play differently. But every press conference, Mike Tomlin kept saying, yeah, we played well, we won. But he knows there's things that they need to change, and it's the running game. So I think in order for the Steelers to continue and to win in the end, that's what they're going to have to change, right? They're going to need to figure out a different way to get the ball down the field and to delay the game, right? They need to slow the clock down, because if they're just throwing, 5 plays, boom, touchdown, the other team is most likely going to answer. Although it didn't happen in the Washington game, you got to give credit where credit is due, and that is to the defense and to Chase Young, because he was a savage, and that is mostly why they won the game. I also want to give credit to Alex Smith for playing the way he did, getting a spike in his foot. Literally, his foot's dripping blood. Like, the guy is comeback player of the year, comeback player of the century. If he can do anything, like, we can all survive 2020. That's what I've been deciding. So other than that, I think the Steelers for their next coming games, they've got the Bills this week, which is going to be a fun matchup, especially because the Bills just came off a great win. Bengals, Colts, Browns. So they've got some tough competition coming their way. And I think if they're able to adjust on that end, that will lead them, to ultimately lead the division. But we can't count the Browns out just yet. But yeah, that's my opinion on what could change. And I don't think the Steelers are out just yet, but they're going to need some running backs to get anywhere near what they need to do.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Joe, come on in.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the Washington football team gets a bad rap. I mean, their roster is pretty nice. They hit a home run with Gibson. He's been a strong player for them all year. Yeah, he got hurt in that game, and he might be out next week. But I mean, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Jeff. We said the Steelers are gonna take some L's. Like, the schedule has been extremely weak on the front end, and it's very, very tough on the back end. So they got, like I said, just mentioned these tough games. Like three out of the 4 are on the road. So Bills at Cincy and at Cleveland. Right now, the weather is changing. It's going to wintertime. So, I mean, I like that game. I like that game against the Washington football team. They came to it. They put it to them, and they punched them in the mouth. Now, flipping that, the Steelers, I think, like, finally they get some focus, as in, like, they keep slipping by some of these teams that they should be beaten pretty well. And I think now Tomlin has been really hard on them in the media. So I think now he can finally say, hey, I told you all so, and let's regroup. Let's find out who we are. I think we already have a pretty good idea, but now let's get the players buy-in on who we are and figure this thing out and see if we can't really finish strong in these last really tough games. But we saw this coming from a mile away, that they were not going to run the table, not with that type of schedule on the back end. And so I think they're fine, but let's be real. The AFC is very strong on the top end. Even if the Chiefs had a couple more losses than they already do, I think we would still count them power rankings of 1. So even though the Steelers are going to be the 1 seed, I don't think anybody is super scared of them in the AFC. I think they can run in there, especially the Bills, especially the Colts, and maybe even the Ravens. I think those guys, they're not going to be scared to go on the road to Pittsburgh and take those guys out.
All right. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Bringing in Keith to clean this one up.
The Steelers are interesting. Without a doubt, they have one of the top 3, arguably the best defense in the NFL. And before I forget, shout out to Coretta Parks and John Mayer, who called this game on Twitter. And were thoroughly clowned, saying that the Washington football team would win, and that's exactly what they did. I know the Washington defense is good, but I think the real issue with the Steelers is their running game, or lack thereof at this point. So far for the season, you would think it's not that bad. They're averaging 92.6 rushing yards per game. In the last 2 games, they've averaged 44.5 rushing yards per game, and then the loss had 21 rushing yards in a game. And then if you go and look back at all the games they played so far this season, when James Conner was playing well at its height, he was getting over 100 rushing yards per game. But since their Week 6 win against the Browns, they have not had a 100-yard rusher since. And that's with Conner playing in some of those games and without him playing in those games. The offense is predicated on a quick pass from Ben Roethlisberger, which can be a gift and a curse for them. It's a gift in the sense that they are so loaded up wide receiver with Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. They have a lot of receivers they can get the ball to. They can get them out quick. But when that's not working, when they're dropping 7 passes a game, they're hurting themselves in the time of possession battle. Doesn't matter how good your defense is. If they're on the field for too long, they're going to get tired. And I think there are times that you can notice that TJ Watt isn't getting there as fast as he could, or the front 7 isn't holding up as well as it can, especially late in games. You look at later in that game, Alex Smith was having a lot of time to throw the ball. And for someone as smart as him, you don't want to give him time to read and dissect the defense. And if you think about it in the future tense, you think AFC Championship game if they can make it that far to face the Chiefs. The Steelers' defense is good, but Pat Mahomes is best against the blitz. And if they can't blitz them and depend on their corners, if they can't get their defense off the field, give it time to rest to deal with juggernauts like the Chiefs, then it doesn't matter how good the defense is is just tired. They got to figure out a way to keep the offense on the field for longer so they can use that defense effectively.
All right. Yeah, I mean, they lost the game. We've only seen one team go 16-0, so it's not like it's fairly common. This is in college where you get a lot of undefeated teams. It was bound to happen. The chances were so high that it was going to happen at some point. Even if they would have got to 15-0, do you rest? Do you play those guys for 16-0? So listen, it was a nice thing to flirt with. They got it out the way. I prefer they not done it to Washington, honestly. I'd rather they just lost to Baltimore last week. But they did the smart thing. They lost out of the conference where it doesn't matter for the playoffs. So, I mean, everything about this works out in their favor. So, give Pittsburgh credit. And they didn't get blown out. They lost a close game. So everything about it, you lost. You got the blemish on the record. But you know what? You got it out of the way. You can move forward with your season. So I get it. Like we were talking in our NFL roundtable yesterday, I still think the Steelers lose one game. I think they're going to lose to the Browns, but they're still going to win the division. So, I mean, they have nothing to hang their heads about, but they do have a lot to work on if they think they're going to beat a team like the Chiefs. And I do believe there was a guy that sat in this chair the past couple of weeks that said comeback player of the year was Alex Smith. All he had to do was put up pedestrian numbers, and he's doing beyond that. So just give him the gift. Just give him the award now. Why are we waiting? I was
against it until he started playing well. I think he's a great story. I wouldn't have given him the award just because he was playing.
Yes, I agree.
He's playing well, so yeah, then he has a case to get the award.
Yeah, I remember another Washington quarterback breaking his leg in several places and never playing again, and Joe Theismann. When Alex Smith came back out there in pads, whether he was a backup or starter, he already, to me, was a comeback player of the year. And then to come out and play even better than any guy that was on the roster for the past 4 years. Give the man credit. Just give him the award. This is yours. This is yours. This is yours. Just give it to him now. No more suspense. It is what it is. But it is also time for a quick break. So hang tight, and we will be right back.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.
We know you're excited. We're back. We're back. We're excited too. That's right. That's right. So 2 quarters in the books, a very tight game so far. I'm not telling you scores, but it is extremely tight. So y'all got to step it up, man. We got to get some separation because there's going to be a lot of overtime around here if this keeps up. But on that note, let's get started with our third quarter. All right, so it brings me a lot of pleasure to talk about the Eagles when they're down. It makes it even more pleasurable when my team is doing better than them. I can't say that right now. My team is not. But nevertheless, the Eagles have said, you know what, Carson Wentz, we've assigned you a new seat on the bench. And that's exactly what they've done. Carson Wentz is heading to the bench, and we got footage of him heading to the bench right now.
Oh my God!
And Jalen Hurts is now in. So it's Jalen Hurts' show. So with that being said, what's next for Philly now that Jalen Hurts is the starter? And the only person that hasn't started us off is Joe. So Joe, you're going to kick this one off.
All right. So Elf on the Shelf. You've heard of Elf on the Shelf, right? Now we got Wentz on the bench. Yeah, I stole that, but but yeah, I mean, like, oh man, this division is wide open. But they're not building around him. Like he just doesn't have any playmakers. Like they went and grabbed Jalen Reagor, but that's not enough. He's not a wide receiver one. They got Alshon Jeffrey there still, but it's just there's not enough around them. There's just not. And so they need to build around them, or they're going to have to expect these mediocre product on the field. So they're sitting at 3-8-1 right now, and they need a spark. They need a spark. So let's see. I like the move, to be honest. It's rough and it hurts, the contract and all that kind of stuff. But they got to see what they got with Hurts. The guy moved around a bunch in college, and he's kind of given this tough run-only quarterback persona. But let's see what he can do. But their offensive line is terrible, so it's not looking good for them. I don't really know what you do. You know what I mean? If you just keep sticking Wentz out there again, he could get hurt, and now you're gonna jeopardize your future even further. So the roster stinks, plain and simple. And like I said, 3-8-1 in a wide open division where 500 could take the division. This isn't good. You need a spark, and honestly, Peterson may not survive this either.
Yeah, that's always the risk when you get into these situations, and honestly, this is a really risky situation. This is not go to the deck and pull out the ace. You don't know what card he's pulling out of the deck if he's going here. Is it an ace? Is it a 3? We don't know. We're going to find out in the long term now going with Jalen Hurts. All right. So, Keith, tell us how you feel about this one.
I think one of the reasons the Eagles let Carson Wentz play so long is because they paid him so much money which I never understood because he led them in that Super Bowl season, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. Get back to that later. The crossroads that the Eagles are at is that, are they going to give Carson Wentz another chance, or are they going to move on with Jalen Hurts? I've been saying all season that Jalen Hurts should have been playing over Carson Wentz, but I do say that minimally because I really like Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to put a lot of people in the seats in Philadelphia once fans can get back in the seats. But he's not their quarterback of the future. That may sound harsh to say. I think he's a great quarterback, but if they're looking to win another Super Bowl like they did in 2017 that Eagles fans won't shut up about, they need a quarterback better than Jalen Hurts. As far as Carson Wentz goes, he just hasn't been that person that he was hyped up to be after his first 1 or 2 seasons. He had a really good 2017, and then he got hurt. And then he missed games the year after that and the year after as well. He's never completed over 70% of his passes. I think the highest he was 69.6%. In only 5 years, he only has 113 touchdown passes, which isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But he also has 87 turnovers, 50 interceptions, and 37 fumbles. Yeah, you have to give him a little love because his receivers over the years have dropped a lot of passes until they go to the Raiders, apparently. But a lot of it has just been bad decision-making. It almost seemed like he plateaued a little bit too early. I do think Jalen Hurts deserves to be there. I don't think he's a quarterback of their future, but I do think their concern has to be if they're not going to move on with Wentz and they're going to put Jalen Hurts in there, they may end up in a situation where Jalen Hurts gets hurt and they have to go back to Wentz because that offensive line is terrible. I mean, he's been sacked like 800 times this year. So if they are considering moving on with Hurts, then it sounds morbid, but they may as well just let Carson Wentz finish out the season. Why risk your quarterback, at least of right now, when you're just going to dump another quarterback? So something tells me that I don't know if they're completely done with Carson Wentz yet. I think they should be, but I think they might try to give it another go.
All right. Ashmere, clean this up for us.
I don't even know where to start. First of all, I love all the graphics. I love watching Wentz walk off the field and seeing Jalen run out. Okay, it's like showing the true transition, which is that Wentz is leading the league in interceptions, everyone. So I don't think he deserves to play anymore. And it's very obvious that he doesn't trust his team. His offensive line cannot protect him for the life of them, as Joe and Keith just said. So obviously Wentz is like, you know what? I need to take a breather. He's not trusting his receivers. He's not trusting, his tight ends. The way he takes so long to get the ball out is just, it's all just very stressful. And I'm not even an Eagles fan. I was a Wentz fan prior to the injury and everything, but now I just feel like he's so uncertain with himself and what's going on. And like Keith said, they're just keeping him on the field because that cash money, okay? They gave him this large contract for God knows why. And now they feel like they're trapped in this situation. And let's go back in time. Rather than drafting a receiver from the NFL draft class, which was full of them, may we add, who are thriving right now, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Henry Ruggs, they're all doing great. CeeDee Lamb, everyone is showing their teams that they can be utilized, right, throughout the season. Instead of doing that for the Eagles, they just tried for Deshaun Jackson again, who literally got injured. We know he's a great receiver, but he's injury prone. It's just uncertainty for him. They drafted Jalen Hurts. And I feel like that day on the NFL draft show, I said, yo, if I'm a quarterback starting QB and first round, they pick a they pick another QB up, I'm worried. Okay. There could be a change here. And instead of him taking that and running with it, he literally took it and got sacked and can't turn it around. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is a bad idea. I think Hurts is going to do well. It sucks that the game he's playing is against this Saints defense, which Keith and I both agreed on yesterday is number 1 in the NFL right now. So I'm really sad to see him get bombarded on Sunday, but you got to do what you got to do. The man's got to get dirty a little bit, but I think it'll be nice to see a change of events, somebody that can scramble around in the pocket, just, be an active quarterback, which is what the Eagles need. And he threw some nice passes against the Packers last week. So at the end of the day, this can just show Eagles fans there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully Wentz can go somewhere else where he feels, more trusting with his team and wants to get the ball down the field and play as he did, prior to the injury. So I think Hurts is going to be a good quarterback for them.
All right. So I got a question for y'all. And maybe y'all can help me out with this. The year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Wentz was the starting quarterback. They had how many wins before he got hurt? Was it 10 wins? Was it 9 or 10 wins?
Yeah.
All right.
Something like that.
Had he actually been the one that led him to the Super Bowl, he didn't get hurt and continued on and led him to the Super Bowl, would we still be having this conversation? Because I think if you were a quarterback who wins a Super Bowl, you get the benefit of a doubt. And the fact of the matter was he set them up to win a Super Bowl that year, got hurt, the guy did what he was supposed to do, that came off the bench, carried the momentum and finished the job. But nevertheless, I just think that if he had finished that Super Bowl run, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Do y'all agree with that?
I don't think so.
I mean, the stars aligned that year for the Eagles and Nick Foles, right? Like, look at Nick Foles now, and he's my boy, right? He's an Arizona guy, so I got his back, but I see the product. I see what he does every year for the Rams after that contract, and the Bears now. He's already back on the bench, and so, it's a very tough question. I mean, because I was a big hater of Wentz with where he came out of college. I just didn't think it was going to translate. And so when he started actually playing pretty well and started doing, decent, I was like, oh, dang, all right, cool. Well, good for him. I'm happy for him, blah, 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 because that was, coming from the deep, that level of college football, man, like the deck was stacked against him. So if he would have won, if he would have taken him down and he would have upset those teams in a row like that and then beat the Patriots, but then played like this now, it's a tough conversation for sure.
Here's the thing.
Down spiraled since then. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I think if he had won the Super Bowl and led them through the playoffs, he would be more deserving of his contract and his status.
Yes.
I think a lot of people like to clown the Ravens for their Joe Flacco contract, but Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl. Jared Goff got a contract. He hasn't won in the Super Bowl. He's been to the Super Bowl, but he hasn't won one. And you see a lot of other players get huge contracts without winning Super Bowls. But when the one player who does win Super Bowl gets a good contract, they're looked down upon for that. The problem with Wentz is he had that really good 2017, but he hasn't done much since. He still hasn't won a playoff game. So I can't really say. I mean, if we want to qualify it, yes. If he had led him to that Super Bowl, the conversation would be different. But he didn't, and he hasn't done anything since.
And there's a lot of top talent out there. Like, you got to earn your keep. If you can't stay the way that you were and maintain what you've done, which was lead them to the Super Bowl, as you're saying, and he can't carry that same energy till now, like, yeah, you have injuries. Things have happened. We're in COVID. I get it. But if you're choosing to continue to play with the NFL, which we know how they are, then, it's either ride or die. You're all in or you're going to be replaced that quick.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, with that being said, it's time to throw up your forwards, everybody. It's time for the fourth quarter.
Ooh, Keith's ready.
That's right. Fourth quarter, everybody. Fourth quarter. Here we go. Clutch time. All right. Who's going to take it home? All right. So, speaking of fourth quarter, we're heading to the fourth quarter of the season. And that team that we were just kicking dirt on a couple of weeks ago in New England has found their way back to 500. They're 6-6. They're in the hunt for the playoffs. Cam Newton isn't lighting it up, but they're winning games. They just obliterated that quarterback from California, Justin Herbert, much to the chagrin of Monty. So at this point, can Belichick get him back to the playoffs? And you know what? Since it's such a tight game, who don't want to get the last word on this one? You know what? Keith, why don't you start us off here? You're always a solid starter.
So, can they make it to the playoffs? Are they peaking at the right time? I think the answer is no. They needed to peak a little bit sooner. I'd give them all the credit in the world, especially Bill Belichick, getting his team back to 500 with, I don't know if anyone wants to say it, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL in Cam Newton. But you just have to think of the facts of the reality. They still have to beat out the Raiders, the Colts, the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Ravens if they want to get that coveted extra playoff spot that they have this year. And it's not impossible, but in order for them to make it possible, they have to win out for the rest of the year. And I don't think they can do that. Realistically, I think they go 1-3 for the rest of the season. They face the Rams, the Dolphins, the Bills, and they finish with the Jets. They'll beat the Jets. If they don't beat the Jets, then Bill Belichick should be looking for a new job. They're not going to win the division because the Bills will win the division. The Bills aren't in a great spot either for the rest of the season because they face the Steelers, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. And I said when we were recapping yesterday, I think the Bills are going to finish the year at 2-2, which still leaves the Patriots not winning the division and out of that playoff spot. I think what Bill Belichick has been able to do to salvage this season has been great, but he's still going to end up with a losing season, and they're just not going to make the playoffs. It's just a little too late for that.
All right. Strong ending. Joe, come on in. Can the Pats do it?
Yeah, Keith, I agree, man. The only thing I'll actually really say is I'll start it off by the Patriots are a machine, right? Like, it's always been their coaching. I've been watching this team for a long time. I don't have a favorite pro NFL team, and I don't consider the Patriots my pro NFL team. But when I just look back at their dominance and the last 2 decades of what they've been doing, Tom Brady, Gronk, whatever, I just think their coaching is elite and everybody else is chasing in the NFL. So even in their worst years, even in their down years, Belichick and that coaching staff can put together a 500 team. It's absolutely incredible. I don't want to ride the coattails with them for too long, but still, I just, I give credit where credit is due. And when I look back and just research all these years of what they've been able to do, and then have the team that they have this year and come around at 6-6, it's pretty impressive. But no, not only is division climb too high, but the other teams in the AFC, there's in the way. You got the Browns, you got the Colts. That are outside their division leads, right? Those are the teams that they're going to have to get on top of with that really tough end of the year schedule. I agree with the 1-3 with Keith. Beating the Jets is the only thing they really got something to look forward to. But I like Cam's buy-in. A lot of people are hating on him for sure, but I mean, he's got them at 6-6, and this was an audition year, and people were probably thinking this was a 4-12 football team. So look at me now, right? But yeah, it's a tough. What with the emergence of Miami and Buffalo, that's their division now, right? So Buffalo and Miami aren't going anywhere. They've had their rebuild. They're loaded with talent. They've got their quarterbacks of the future. They've got their number one receivers of the future. Maybe not Miami, but definitely Buffalo with Stephon Diggs. Those teams are a lot better, 100% on paper, than New England. So absolutely, I don't think things are going in the direction that they thought it would. But getting to 6-6 is pretty good. One last thing: the leading rusher for the Patriots is Damian Harris. Who? The leading wide receiver is Damiere Byrd with 518 yards. Who, after research, the only other leading receiver for a team that I saw that was lower was Travis Fulgham from the Eagles. So there you have it. The Patriots putting a random product on the field and with people you've never heard of and sitting at 6-6, but no way do they crack the playoffs with the teams that are ahead of them in the AFC.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Ashman, take us out.
Okay, I think this is going to be a clean sweep. We're all going to agree to disagree that the Patriots have done. They've made this move too little, too late. It's not going to work with their upcoming games. They've got the Rams tomorrow, who are literally fighting for that top spot, and I'm assuming that they're going to slash the Patriots. And I like that Joe brought up those two players because I was literally going to reference them myself. These two out of bounds people that all of a sudden are leading for the Patriots, like where did they even come from? And it is too little too late. Like I said, I think, even if they win these next 4 games, let's just pretend, they still have to chase down the Ravens and the Raiders and the Colts and win. And the Browns are not losing. Like we've all said, they're all a brand new team, even though I disagree with that. I think Sunday was their shining shot, as I keep saying. But yeah, overall, Patriots are, it's good that they've been able to build up that momentum for themselves and come back. I mean, to give someone have 0 points last week against the Chargers, which really hurt me for Justin Herbert. But they, that defense came back, had COVID, whatever, got sick, everything came back, put through. It's just unfortunate that they did it. They're 3 games too late, like we've all said. And the Bills and the Dolphins are way stronger. The Bills are literally owning right now. They're at the peak and they need to stay there. And there's no way they're going to let the Patriots come through and just knock them off this mountain that they've built. They're playing so well. Josh Allen is doing well. The receiving team, the running game, everything is just chef's kiss for the Bills. So there's simply no way the Patriots can take over that or compete with what they've been doing. I think, play up to your competition for the next 4 games. Try not to lose. I don't think that's going to happen unless the Patriots defense can, essentially put as much pressure as they did last week for the next 4 games. And especially against Kyler Murray, which he's been a little skeptical lately because it's closing in on him. Maybe they could come through on that game, but just winning one of the 4 is obviously not going to take them anywhere. So better luck next year to Bill Belichick. I'm actually glad I won't be seeing that navy and red anywhere in the, end of this regular season because I'm done with that. But yeah.
All right. Well, you're a hit in the chat room, and not just for your comments, but for rocking the fur on camera. They love it. They're eating it up. They're eating it up. They're eating it up right now. You are the hit of the chat room with the fur right now.
Thanks.
So it's that time of the show. We got to start talking about a winner, and it's the fun part of the show. So you know what? The graphic has to go first. So before I get to make my 2 minutes of fame here, I'm going to get the graphic going. All right. So we live by the words of Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. So somebody's got to go right now. So going first to the green room, it will not be our guest. He's going to stick around a little longer. Keith, I'm sorry, brother. You got to go.
Gonna be like
you got to go. Oh, all right. So here we are. Just the two of you. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to go. Somebody gets the FaceTime. And I'll tell you what. It is extremely tight on the score sheet, but nevertheless, somebody must have had a premonition they were going to win today because they dressed for the occasion. All hail the queen. Ashmere takes it.
Wow. Thank you.
So Ashmere, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes of FaceTime. I'm heading to the back.
Well, first, thanks, Joe, for coming on. I know that, this is fun. I've been having a good time. I haven't been here in a while. Thanks for all the love on my shirt. I didn't check the chat room because I was trying to win. I really put it into the future. I manifested this win today. But I think for my fame time, I'm just going to say, I hope everybody's taking care of themselves, of their mental health. And we're back in a lockdown in California. So just be sure to check on your friends, check on your family, and, stay safe out there. But I do also want to make a little side note. I don't know how many people have seen on Twitter. There was some stuff going on about women in sports. And I feel like this complicated problem keeps coming up in conversations. And at the end of the day, if you know somebody that's working in sports as a female, or she likes to watch sports, right? She's not going to memorize every dang stat line on the planet. So don't come for your friends, right? You should be happy that you can talk to a girl about sports. And I feel like, putting women down for their desire to be in the industry, or maybe they just want to be a journalist and tell athlete stories, right? At the end of the day, support the people that are working for their dreams, and don't try to, I don't know the word I'm thinking of right now, but don't try to downplay any conversations you have with one another. I'm bringing this up because I saw it on Twitter, and I know I have some good people on my back that support me every day. It's great to have, male people in your corner that will back you up if somebody wants to blow you up on Twitter. But we got to stop the blow ups on Twitter, first of all. So that's my little spiel. Support all women, no matter what they're doing, sports or not. And yeah, appreciate it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'll say this, social media is a gift and a curse. You make a lot of connections, but unfortunately you get a lot of opinions you don't need. So it takes a real tough skin to be on social media. It's real easy to walk down the street and mind your business, but social media, everything finds you.
Yeah.
I've always said the best thing and the worst thing about social media is you can say whatever's on your mind.
Yes. Normally stuff that would get you punched in the face in the street, you can say on social media with no recourse.
There is good stuff out there, but then you get into the weeds where people just don't know when to shut up.
Yeah. But what can I say, man? Listen, you guys once again killed it tonight. I wholeheartedly agree. We need to acknowledge the women that are doing a great job in sports. There are a lot of ladies, not only on my Twitter timeline, but on my LinkedIn profile. There are a ton of ladies in sports who are doing their thing. And I can't congratulate them enough because they're doing a great job. You get the opportunity, no matter whether you're male or female, you take the ball and run with it, and they have done just that. So there's too many in the name.
Well, thank you guys for supporting me. Okay, it really means something. And Joe,
I would love to get an all ladies episode, but I finally get you back on, and I can't seem to nail down the other half.
They don't want this cash, Jeff. They don't want this.
Listen, I can't seem to nail down the other half of the law firm because I only get one half of Prasad and Prasad for some reason.
I know. We'll figure it out.
you know, and we'll try and get the third lady in there, whether it's a guest or not. I got a couple lined up, so we'll work on that.
Cool.
You know, I want to make the all ladies version happen. You know, if you really want to do an all ladies version, they'll kick me out and have a lady host it.
Oh, I could.
Yeah, so we'll get to that point. We'll get to that point. You know, but nevertheless, you know, some big football going on this weekend, not just NFL wise, college football wise. We're getting close to the playoff. If you all know, Ohio State is cleared to go for the Big Ten championship. You know, Notre Dame and Clemson are set for their rematch. Jim Harbaugh is saved at least for a weekend.
How did that happen? Didn't he get an extension?
I was
One
just
weekend.
gonna
One
say.
No.
weekend.
Yes, well, they're talking extension. They haven't talked about it yet, and the reason why they have to talk extension, because if they don't want to fire him, they have to extend him, because you can't have the guy going to kids' houses trying to get them to come to Michigan, saying, "Hey, come to Michigan. Now, trust me, we're going to do great things. But coach, are you going to be there after this year? Don't know about that."
He was like, "This is silent auction here."
Yeah, I'll be signing with Ohio State. Thank you. So yeah,
They shouldn't even be talking extension. Just say he's not going to be back. We'll get someone better.
well, I'll tell you what. My biggest problem with Jim Harbaugh is two things. It's not that he's not a good coach. He's a good coach, but like some coaches, they believe in their way is the only way. You know, and that's what. As a Cowboy fan, you're seeing that with that Dallas defense with Mike Nolan. I'm a 3-4 guy. Well, his 3-4 is getting blown up. Well, Jim Harbaugh is a conservative coaching guy. I have to have a stout defense. I have to have a strong running game, and I don't need a big quarterback. I just need a guy that's going to manage the game. He has none of those things, and guess what? He's getting his butt kicked. So, you know, when you're not adaptable, you tend to fail, and he's failing this year. So, it only takes 1 year in college football to fail to be out of there.
And he's had several where he hasn't beaten Ohio State.
Yeah, but he's been a winner at least. At least he's won 9-10 games those years. You know, and realistically, I think Michigan fans put too much pressure on themselves, because realistically, they, other than sharing a national title, they've never won a sole national championship. You know, and yeah, they won a couple of Big Ten championships, but I think you've kind of grown past the point of being Big Ten champions. You want to be Big Ten champions and national champions, and you know you have never really been in that team. The closest you came was a split title with Desmond Howard. So
I thought for sure that was a home run hire when they got, just to see what he did at the University of San Diego. Does anybody remember that, when he was over there at that D2 school? And then I'm a Pac-12 guy, so when he went to Stanford, they were 0-12.
Yeah.
When he was hired at Stanford, they were 0-12. And then between him and David Shaw, they were in the BCS at least picture for a while, right? Just winning the Pac-12 every year, Rose Bowl. Doing really well. And so when he went to after the NFL, I thought for sure, like, bringing where he came in the NFL and what he did with the 49ers and just turning all of these programs around, I thought for sure that was going to be Michigan and Alabama level. I thought there was going to be like that. Like, he's going to come in there. He's a Michigan guy. He's going to talk the entire Midwest up and then recruit nationally. I thought for sure that was just going to be something massive that everybody else is going to be chasing them down in the Big Ten, and it just hasn't been it. So I don't know how long they keep letting it go. Like, if they want to extend him, I think they've already peaked, and I think he's ready to move on, to be completely honest. And there's going to be some openings in the NFL. So,
yeah, I think when you look at it, though, his kind of coaching is kind of past for the college game. And I think that's why you're seeing the difference between him and Stanford and him and Michigan. You know, what he was able to do at Stanford, what he's been doing at Michigan. The spread offense has changed how offenses are. You know, they make you defend every blade of grass. That's not how his offenses work. He's a very ground and pound, ball control, plays stout defense, and control passing game. And unfortunately, you're not going to beat teams like Ohio State, who can hit you with a big play and do that same thing that you want to do. And that's where he's struggled. And he doesn't adapt, because why? If you looked at it when he was in San Francisco, what was he in San Francisco? The same exact thing. Mm-hmm. Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator he needed and wanted, because Greg Roman is exactly what he wants. Ground and pound, control the ball. And it's killing the Ravens right now. The Ravens, right, plain and simple, they're not going to make it anywhere in that AFC with that kind of offense until they get rid of Greg Roman, because he's not adaptable. That same offense, and they talked about it yesterday, it is exactly what I talked about when I did the film breakdown of the Ravens a few weeks ago. His offense has traveled from team to team, and it has never, ever really, other than that one time in San Francisco, and it just never won. So
remember we were talking about Lamar Jackson as the next great thing? Now he's not even in the MVP conversation anymore. So
good point.
Something's got to change with that offense.
So, yeah. After some technical difficulties here. Yeah, so that's what I get for getting a new camera. So, with that being said, great show, guys. I'm going to have to bump you to the back because it's time to say goodbye. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Hang tight, guys. I'll be right with you. All right. So, with that being said, this has been No Huddle Necessary. Tune in next week again, 9 o'clock, for another live episode. Also, we'll have another episode of Inside the Film Room coming up this weekend. Bill Carroll will not be joining me on this episode. It'll be just me again. So, back to just seeing my face on screen. With that being said, thank you for watching. And until next week, have a great night and enjoy your weekend.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.